Today we're diving into the fiery history of California wildfires. From ancient indigenous practices to today's massive megafires, we'll uncover how fire has shaped the Golden State and its people.
Wildfires have been a part of California's ecosystem for thousands of years. Long before humans arrived, lightning was the primary ignition source, sparking fires that cleared vegetation and rejuvenated the land.
But indigenous peoples, including the Karuk and Yurok tribes, didn't leave fire to chance. For thousands of years they used controlled burns to manage the landscape. These cultural burns improved hunting grounds, encouraged the growth of useful plants, and reduced the risk of catastrophic wildfires. These ancient practices created a balance between humans and nature, a balance that was disrupted when European settlers arrived.
During the Spanish and Mexican periods, indigenous fire practices were largely abandoned. Livestock grazing and land clearing disrupted ecosystems, altering fire patterns.
The California gold rush in the mid-1800s brought rapid development and massive deforestation. Miners and settlers unintentionally sparked wildfires as they cleared land for mining and agriculture. But even then, fire wasn't seen as the enemy. It wasn't until the 20th century that California adopted a new approach to wildfire management.
In the early 1900s, the U.S. Forest Service began aggressive fire suppression policies. The goal was simple: extinguish all fires as quickly as possible. But there was an unintended consequence.
By preventing natural fires, fuel built up in forests, dry vegetation that would later feed larger, more destructive wildfires. This strategy, combined with California's expanding population, set the stage for the massive fires we see today.
Today, California faces an era of megafires. The 2020 August Complex fire burned over 1 million acres, becoming the largest wildfire in state history. And every year, the fire season grows longer and more destructive. California is known for its golden beaches, towering redwoods, and stunning landscapes. But for centuries, it's also been a land of fire, a place where wildfires have shaped ecosystems, cultures, and communities.
When trees fall down, after a short period of time, about 18 months, they become very dry. They become really like a matchstick. And they get up, there's no more water pouring through, and they become very, they just explode. They can explode. Also, leaves. When you have years of leaves, dried leaves on the ground, it just sets it up. It's really a fuel for a fire.
Every year, California faces devastating wildfires that destroy homes, claim lives, and scorch thousands of acres of land. But why are these fires so intense? What's fueling their destruction? Let's break down the main causes of California's wildfires and what can be done to prevent them. California's wildfires are not just a natural phenomenon. They're the result of a perfect storm of environmental and human factors. Let's start with one of the biggest culprits: overgrown vegetation. When forests and grasslands aren't properly managed, vegetation builds up over time. Dead trees, dry underbrush, and thick plant growth become the perfect fuel for wildfires. Once a fire starts, this fuel allows it to spread rapidly and burn hotter, making it harder to control.
They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
we'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that are fallen that are like.
Hotter temperatures dry out the land, and prolonged droughts leave vegetation brittle and ready to ignite. In fact, California is experiencing some of its driest conditions on record, creating a landscape that's essentially a tinderbox.
They said, "We have no water." I said, "Do you have a drought?" "No, we don't have a drought." I said, "Why don't you have no water?" "Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north of water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean."
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history, and one of the most significant, if not the most significant, water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin. This project could not have happened without extraordinary partnerships with tribal nations and, of course, our partners in the North and Oregon. Just finished the celebration with the Secretary of the Interior and our tribal council and tribal leaders, and I couldn't be more proud as a Californian, and I couldn't be more proud as a father, because my kids and their great-great-grandkids will have the opportunity to see something that has been here since time immemorial, and it's about now time we got this done.
Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. I could have water for all of that land water for your forests. You know, your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You know, you could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires.
That's what's different now is we are committed as a team, as a partnership with the legislature and other state agencies, including now the federal government, no longer a sparring partner, but a working partner. Federal government, where we're not addressing headwinds, but tailwinds in terms of the support, a memorandum of understanding, doubling our respective commitments to vegetation management and forest management and prescribed burns to support the Biden administration with resources, not just rhetoric, to help this collective cause. It's a different paradigm. It's a different framework.
Here's another piece of the puzzle: fire suppression policies. For decades, fires were treated as the enemy, something to be extinguished immediately. While this seemed like the right approach at the time, it actually led to an accumulation of flammable material in forests. Without periodic, low-intensity fires to clear out the underbrush, the stage was set for more intense and uncontrollable wildfires.
You've seen what happened. You've talked about the forest fires. Now we're permitting and cleaning up these forests so it will reduce the threat of forest fire as well as creating jobs in these communities.
We're all to do that in California, by the way.
Yes, sir.
California's a mess. We're giving billions and billions of dollars for forest fires in California. There's no reason for those fires to be like they are. They're leaving them dirty. It's a disgraceful thing. Old trees are sitting there rotting and dry. And instead of cleaning it up, they don't touch them. They leave them. And we end up with these massive fires that we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars for to fix. And the destruction is incredible. So I think California ought to get their act together and clean up their forests and manage their forests, because it's disgraceful.
Climate change, human activity, and the expansion of homes into fire-prone areas are all fueling the crisis. But there's hope. Experts are looking back to indigenous fire practices, using controlled burns to reduce fuel and restore balance to the land. The solution to our wildfire problem might just lie in the wisdom of the past.
So they have to do something about it. They also have to do cuts. I mean, people don't like to do cuts, but they have to do cuts in between. So if you do have a fire and it gets away, you'll have a 50-yard cut in between, so it won't be able to catch to the other side. They don't do that. If you go to other countries, you go to Austria, you go to Finland, you go to many different countries, and they don't have fire. I was talking to a head of a major country, and he said, we're a forest nation. We consider ourselves a forest nation. This was in Europe. I said, that's a beautiful term. He said, we have trees that are far more explosive. He meant explosive in terms of fire. But we have trees that are far more explosive than they have in California, and we don't have any problem because we manage our forests. So we have to do that.
California's history with fire is a story of destruction, resilience, and renewal. From ancient practices to modern challenges, fire has always been a part of life here, and it always will be.
Thanks for joining me on this journey through California's fiery history. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, this is History Hamm. Stay curious, stay informed.